was your own child, you would support them through all these journeys and you would fight for them to get what they were due.
This project was the first one where we didn't know the answer.
The most dynamic bit was when the young people came into the project.
You know, they were such a massive part of what we did. We couldn't have done it in the same way without them.
Although they're really resilient young people because of what they went through, they're really vulnerable and they need that wee bit extra support.
And Relationships First got everybody in a room learning how to do that the correct way.
It just gave it an energy and a focus, and it made everything real.
I kind of jumped at the chance because I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to get to work across all the council and meet loads of people that are then going to be able to start talking about care experience and start passing that message on.
Do you think anything changed?
So yeah, 100%.
Here in Falkirk, we're committed to keeping the promise, and that means all of our children grow up, loved and safe and respected. All of us have responsibilities as corporate parents, as council family and friends, and through Relationships First, we've invested to ensure that those big transformational changes include our care experienced young people. We want them to have the same opportunities as others, and so that they can realise their potential too. As Chief Executive of Falkirk Council, I'm really impressed by the collaborative work, by the leadership, by the service design that has allowed us to generate new ideas and develop new approaches and prototypes. This will help us follow through on our promise to be committed council family members for our young people.
The idea for the project came around at a really good time for us in Falkirk, where we were talking about the need to transform the way that we did our work, the way that we delivered services, but people really hadn't got to grips with how do you actually do that? What does that look like in practice?
So there was two concepts which affected the design of this work. One was service design and one was systems leadership. Generally, the operational needs of an organisation can sometimes overshadow the needs of people that are using the service. And so what service design seeks to do is bring the voice of the people that use the service to the fore and also fold that into the process of designing and developing a service.
But that led us into systems leadership.
You could say the systems in this project were Falkirk Council and the local community. And there's actually systems within those systems. So there's a range of council departments and services and a range of communities that work to support care leavers as well as care leavers themselves. None of those systems are the same, but there will be elements in all of those systems that are interested in similar things. And those elements were the people that we wanted to take part in this project and be our systems leaders.
I think it's undeniable that we all need someone. The importance of connections, I think, can be recognised for each and every one of us.
So this service design project was designed to be community-led, and there was two different community perspectives involved. There was the care leavers who informed the funder, the Life Changes Trust, what they wanted the vision for this work to be, and they decided it was about love and relationships being at the heart of leaving care services.
Continuing with those connections, those really strong relationships that they may have developed or making new ones can be just really, really, really difficult. Care experienced young people will tell us just how hard it can be and just isolation factor. So
it's about relationships matter, relationships first.
Then the other community was the staff in Falkirk Council and care leavers from Falkirk Council. And they decided on the type of questions they wanted to ask, how they made sense of the information they gathered, what that led to, what their priorities would be, and how those priorities manifested into policies and service designs. So it's those communities together that actually drove the whole project forward.
The relationship part caught my eye because it's something that I think is really important is the relationship with young people, forming a close bond, something they've not really got in their lives all the time with adults. Being somebody they can trust, be somebody that they can spend time with, be somebody that it can maybe not just be about you being there because you're paid, because it's a job.
Relationships First brought people from lots of different departments in the council and the community trust and teamed us up with a group of young people who are care leavers.
For me, one of the keys was it was just people from everywhere. Total mix of young people, total mix of staff all at the council.
So this is an example of the process that we worked through. There was 5 stages. So we had set up discovering your community's experiences, bringing those discoveries together, co-designing services, and then sharing what was created. We started off in 2 separate groups with care leavers, and they were understanding their experiences together, and corporate parents who were also learning about being a corporate parent and thinking about what that meant to them.
So the project started with the workforce separately and the young people separately.
We went through different training courses as an individual group, corporate parenting, to get their knowledge of what it was about, to give us a knowledge of where we were looking to go with the project.
So a lot of the young people that were in the project had never met each other before, so it allowed us to build like a relationship up together before we kind of went into the workforce, so before the groups kind of merged together.
And they did their own research separately and then brought those together to share those experiences with one another. And as a consequence of doing this, they were able to understand what they thought as a community now together, love and relationships looked like, felt like, sounded like, and what you might think when you are connected with somebody.
We wouldn't. That's not something that's normal that I would have thought to do. It would just been something that everyone had been chucked into a room and it would have probably struggled. I think probably they would have sat in one corner, we'd have sat over there. Like you go in any training course, you go to people you know or you feel more comfortable with, and that's what happens.
And the workforce got to kind of meet us, but like in a kind of virtual way. So they'd seen a couple of our videos, they'd seen some of the like work that we had done. So kind of we had done like buzzwords that we hated or keywords that we hated. They then got to see it, and that already was changing their perspective effectively.
And then when we sort of came together, it was more natural. Strangely enough, we'd all had the same training, we'd all had the same support, and we'd already took quite a few steps forward at that point.
And then as a group together, brought all of their work together to identify from these 2 perspectives what service designs they needed to create. They identified 3 different types of services and worked through the service design double diamond before they presented their results to the council. And all of this was housed in a systems leadership point of view, which was really focused on engagement and connection between everyone involved.
And we just had such a laugh and learning what other people's job roles were and kind of understanding that all of us had baggage and trauma, but we were all really good individuals, and I think it did really open kind of the workforce's eyes to that we're not all bad.
So another area of focus for this service design project was that it was about cultural change. So care leavers told us that the cultural changes they wanted to see was love and relationships being at the heart of leaving care provision. And that makes complete sense. We all want to be looked after as we move on from home and we live and grow in the world. We want those relationships to continue. In fact, we expect that, and why should it be any different for care leavers? So it completely makes sense, that cultural shift. But practically, where we're sitting now, culturally, there's a lot of barriers around that. What does love look like in the workplace? Are we comfortable even talking about love in the workplace? What might people think if we were loving someone in the workplace? And what might that mean to us in our professional identity? So there was lots of different barriers that we needed to address, be they individually, within group settings, or within the system in Falkirk Council. And so the project was really designed in ways that offer people spaces to explore those barriers, make sense of them from their point of view, perhaps experience them as part of the project, and address them in the service designs that they created.
I liked that the young people actually, they took to us. They knew we were trying to do the best we possibly could. And there was a group of people there that were all focused on exactly the same goal, and that was to help young people progress in life.
Joining the project and being part of the project just, honestly for me, felt so rewarding. Mainly because at that point, I was still trying to change the system on my own and trying to do everything on my own.
Sharing my experiences with others felt good. Like we all had different experiences to talk about, and I knew I was believed.
The design of the whole work was around people developing relationships together, experiencing that together, so they could take that learning into what they were suggesting in their service designs. So in a small way, they were starting to experience what their services might actually feel like together.
And then I realised that I'm not really alone. There's other people, you know, young people that want to change it. And then when we got involved, the rest of you guys, I realised that everyone's not against us.
So like even down to like the IT systems and like learning a little bit about that really kind of opened my eyes. Like when I make a phone call to like house and repairs, for example, there can be that little bit more understanding.
There's actually other people inside the system who do also want to help and change and make everything for the better rather than just stuck in the archaic system that it was.
And people were there for different reasons. Some people were there purely based on the strength of feeling that they they wanted to make a difference at any cost. And if that had some personal cost, then they were prepared to take that.
I actually felt when I was coming into this role a wee bit out of my depth, because I didn't come from a social work or an education background. And I remember walking in that first day and thinking, I'm really sure I should be here.
It wasn't just all kind of people from like social and health services, it was people across the board, and that I guess really helped me.
And they reassured me, because they didn't want everybody to be experts and to always have the answer. They wanted somebody to say, why are we doing it that way?
If we hadn't have had people from different areas of the council, the perspectives or the opinions that we had would have been a lot narrower.
I saw that staff learned from us, and that this opened their eyes to what we had to go through. It wasn't just with our families, but with being in care as well.
Well, the one thing you noticed about everybody that was on this project is they cared. And it was as simple as that. You didn't have to do anything more than that. You had to care what happened to the young people, you had to care about the project, and you had to give it everything you could. And if you didn't have a lot to give, it didn't matter, because whatever little bit you had to give, that was all that was needed.
To set up the project and to deliver took time.
So any relationships can take time to develop, but because this project was about love and connection, we needed the time to take these deeper steps.
The fact that it took that long, it just showed the commitment of the people that were involved. It showed that the subject was that big a subject that everybody really cared about, and everybody really wanted to make a change. They wanted to put the best of themselves into the project to get the best outcome for the project.
I think that was a really positive nature of the project, the fact that so much time was invested in it, because it allowed us to build up our knowledge, it allowed us to build up our relationships, which obviously was the heart of the project. We needed effective relationships with each other to be able to bring all this together.
And if I think about something that was unique to the project, it was the relational connectivity that we had amongst ourselves.
We wouldn't have been able to do that in a short amount of time, and there was difficult times in the project as well, and it allowed us to be able to work through those. So yeah, I think that the length of time invested in the project was worthwhile and was needed.
Many of our care experienced young people, those leaving care, and our colleagues who work with them, they can encounter a range of barriers that may mean they find it more difficult to maintain these connections with others.
Continuing with those connections, those really strong relationships that they may have developed, or making new ones, can be just really, really, really difficult.
One of the ways that we recruited people to take part in the project was to ask what their love languages were. And love languages offer people different ways of thinking, saying, doing, or feeling loved. So for example, people may think the best of care leavers and help them to improve. People might say what's your opinion when they're asking or telling them something. Or they might celebrate them and congratulate them at particular times in their lives. And those were all different examples of how care leavers would feel loved. However, there's many, many more, and actually what they created was a range of different ways that corporate parents and care leavers can engage with one another and show love that best suits them. And we offered this as a tool to the participants in the project, and they used it to explain what love and relationships look like to them. So, relationships were described as being a two-way street, and things people thought should be two-way included making time to have relationships, asking people how their day's been, asking people what their opinions are, having emotional permission to feel in lots of different ways, being honest with one another, feeling and being treated like an equal, and relationships staying the same so that you can contact people whenever you actually want to rather than happening within a 9 to 5. So this set the foundation of what corporate parents and care leavers described as love and what relationships actually looked like.
Doing the project, working through the project, the tools I was given, the ethos that we were working on, which was that the importance of relationships, the importance of having permission to care, having permission to love. You know, give a bit of yourself to young people. And I have kind of used the ethos and the way of working more than I've done before.
How can we make ourselves available to make sure that every care experienced young person has somebody who really cares about them, is really interested in them, and who wants to be alongside them just through the journey of life? So just with some support and those permissions and the emphasis around those connections and relationships, we can do that for care experienced young people.
So a common way of explaining service design is to work through a double diamond process. What you can see here is that we had diamonds all over the place, which the essential purpose of is that you start with what you think an issue is. You explore it, so you go out and learn more about it to understand if that actually is the issue that you are interested in or if there's other things to discover, and then you bring all that information and define together what your next steps are and what your priorities are. So the diamond that happened here was about care leavers and corporate parents bringing their experiences of love and relationships together. Very different, diverged massively, but together they were able to work to bring their perspectives together and identify what kind of challenges care leavers and corporate parents are experiencing, and then go and discover what differences they could bring to the system. So in this discovery portion, they identified that by taking this research work, they would focus on being themselves at work, humanising the system, and nurturing the workforce. And once they defined that, they could then go out and explore what does that look like in practice? How might that actually happen? Before they drew that information together and defined what that might look like to Falkirk Council.
Gail came to us as a group and had spoken to us and had said, like, this is the kind of project that I want to do, would you like to get involved? I kind of jumped at the chance because I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to get to work across all the council and meet loads of people that are then going to be able to start talking about care experience and start passing that message on and learn how to work with us, because we're not that difficult, but actually learn how to work with us and find like a way of being able to not work against us with the system.
A lot of that was about taking a step into the unknown. It was about discovery. It was about living with uncertainty.
One of the ways that we manage uncertainty is to have this container around the work where people understand how they're working together and what they can expect from one another and how to support one another if that doesn't materialise. And so both groups created their own working together agreements and also did the same when they came together, and that held them all the way through this process.
A lot of things we got asked to do were really difficult, but I think that's what made it so good, because we did pull together, we did find ways to overcome everything, all the challenges that it brought up.
You're doing this today, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to achieve in the next couple of weeks, and normally my face would be, I don't think so. We always did it. We always got there.
We didn't have an end goal. The end goal was going to be what was going to work best.
So the uncertainty of this project is an essential ingredient in the success of it, because we didn't know what we were going to create. We just knew that it had to focus on love and relationships, and these communities got to define what that looked like. So essentially they would create that at the end.
All the projects that I had been involved in, we thought we knew what the fix was. So the projects were going in to put a fix in place. And this project was the first one where I had been involved in where we didn't know the answer. And that was uncomfortable. That was really, really uncomfortable to start with.
I don't think we had a clear sense at any point about a specific direction that we were going in. We were at each stage we were having to find solutions, find ways round, influence, shape things in a different way. Several times on the journey we had to stop, regroup, come back together as a group, and work out how we were going to go forward.
So not having the end goal was exciting, scary in the middle, but exciting.
What we were able to do when working with uncertainty is to manage it. So it was a bungee cord that people were on. It was not a complete free fall. And when things arose in each of the stages that were difficult to deal with or that were uncertain, we would regroup and figure that out together, which all made part of the relationships that people were engaged in much stronger.
It was good because we took the time to really delve into what the issues and the problems were, and we worked really collaboratively on that. And I think that it means that when we're coming to design a solution, then we're designing something around what people have said and not what we've assumed to be the issues.
What this project has achieved is nothing less than groundbreaking. It's been so unique and creative and innovative. And I think what really matters to me now is making sure that with those really clear permissions that we're given to our workforce and the benefits we know that have been really, really clear for our young people, which is the real heart of the promise that we're making to them, that we take this work forward.
Heart on Sleeve is a network of practitioners from all parts of the council working under the same badge as a symbol of like-minded people following relational-based practice. Our Heart on Sleeve was what I would love to see happen, but as well I would also like to see the staff being protected as well, which is also what we thought about, you know. I would just like to see more happen.
So the lessons that we've learned, you know, everything that the people involved in the project have gone through and shared with us has been about learning.
I hope that Relationships First will continue to give young people a voice and let their voices be heard and make them feel confident to open up, that they'll be treated like normal people and make them also feel believed.
But also being able to transfer that onto like colleagues, so just being able to talk about it, like not being shy of the subject, being able to just talk about it quite openly, like the good and the bad, because that's the only way like that's going to work.
When we started interviewing people around the council and explaining what they were trying to do, in a lot of cases they hadn't heard of corporate parenting, they hadn't heard of how you look after children as if they're your own.
A really swift action that we could take is really ensuring that there is a really good understanding of corporate parenting, of the Falkirk family. You know, what does that mean? What are our obligations to that, and what can we bring to that? So, you know, what must we do, but actually what are we willing to do?
So it's changed my boss. My boss had no idea what corporate parenting is. You get to a position in your job where you're just used to looking after what you do.
It doesn't matter what job you have in the council. Remember that it's about someone's life. You should want to help them live their best lives.
So I think that was the biggest thing for me, is just realising that there's just so many more things at play than what I realised. We can change it outside the system and inside the system, you know.
And that was the best. That was the best. Actually educating other people, educating road workers, educating street cleaners, educating somebody who works in the salt dome.
So this isn't just a one-off project. This has to live and breathe. It has to move on beyond. It has to go into the future. And to do that, it will continue to need refreshed with people who want to become involved, people who want to be part of that promise we're making to care experienced young people.
So I suppose my message to others is to do better. Just do better.
So they need to be approachable.
They need to be flexible.
Patient.
Patient.
They need to be friendly, but I guess that kind of falls into approachable. So,
Open-minded.
I guess they need to be open-minded, and they need to be open-minded to be able to change their mindset.
Open. Someone that's prepared to accept change.
I think they need to be really open and be able to listen to other people's perspectives, especially the perspectives of the young people. Their best interests should be at the centre of the whole project.
Availability, listening and caring.
You want people that are caring and that are good listeners, that not necessarily are coming in with a set opinion, so they've got to be open to other people's opinion and be prepared to take that on board.
Empathetic.
They need to be a team player.
They need to bring a sense of fun. It's the fun and the creativity that'll carry you through to the end.
Kind.
Kind.
And loving.
They need to see it through to the end.
Determined and wanting to make a difference.
We now want to develop a heart and sleeve network across Falkirk that will develop a living, growing movement of people that will spread relational-based practices, that will create innovative ways to work with our care experienced young people.
We could get young people to understand we were there for them without them having to search for us. It was basically, they knew we'd be available, they walked into a room, they saw 10 people, and if one of them had a heart on sleeve badge, they knew that one person would be trained to look after their particular issues because they're a care experienced young person.
Developing this work will allow our children, our young people, our families, our staff to feel both valued and to feel nurtured. And I appreciate some of that will be hard to do because people are busy and there's lots of pressures. But by taking the time to build these relationships and to build a nurturing network, it will bring so much strength to all of us, to our organisation, and most importantly, to our young people.
Really inspiring, and I'm hugely thankful for those that have been involved, and I really, really want to be part of support for the people that would be interested in taking this work forward. And, you know, relationships are key. Relationships are what give us the pleasure of the jobs that we do, the work that we do, and just the commitment that we make, which probably lives a little bit beyond it feeling like work.
We continue to recognise and respond to how we can transform our systems and transform our culture and transform our practice. And that will mean that our children do grow up loved and safe and respected and able to realise their potential.
You get the opportunity to change the trajectory of a young person's life. You can make where they land in a few years' time a different place to where they would have been heading if you hadn't been there. I have had somebody, a young person that spoke to us once, and they'd ended up in a really bad place. And we were like, well, what have we done to help you? And they went, no, if it for you guys, I don't think I'd still been alive. Whilst a lot of people don't think they're making a difference at all, then, you know, if you are working the right way and you are investing in it, then you are making a difference.
I would advise everybody to take part because it's just been life affirming, and I just want everybody to see the value in this project.
What this project has achieved is nothing less than groundbreaking.
You just felt understood and listened to. It was like a hug.
It's the best thing I've ever done, work-related. Best thing ever.
Just treat us like how you would treat your own child, like it's as simple as that.